Okay, so we're already a little bit over halfway through 2023, and needless to say, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of musicians, there's a lot of bars, there's a lot of clubs, there's a lot of club managers, and you guessed it, there's a lot of DJs. So, with all that being said, here are 5 things you need to think about before jumping into a saturated field like DJing. So, lifestyle. Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? You don't necessarily need to be extroverted to DJ, which I know for a lot of people that's going to be confusing to think about, because when you see a DJ, you see them dancing, you see them hyping up the crowd, you see them dabbing up people and stuff like that. So to say you need to be extroverted is not 100% true, but to say you can be introverted is also not 100% true either. I think I personally am an ambivert. I'm a little bit of both, and with DJing it's a little bit of a give and take. You need to be a little bit of both. You can't be super introverted to the point that you feel uncomfortable talking to people or uncomfortable being in large groups or crowds of people, because that's just not going to work. That's something you're going to have to break out of your comfort zone if that's something that you struggle with. Aside from that, the lifestyle of a DJ is not for everybody. Aside from being introverted or extroverted, you also have to take into account the hours worked. Especially if you're gonna be a club DJ or a bar DJ. If you're just starting out, you're probably not gonna be doing any bars or any clubs or anything like that anytime soon. But if that's a goal of yours, then you should be thinking ahead of time. Most clubs don't close until like 2 o'clock in the morning, especially for summertime like we're in right now. So if you're not really a nightlife kind of person, if you're not a night owl, you're an early bird and you fall asleep at 12 o'clock, shout out to J-Flo if you're watching this, you got to think about that ahead of time. Now, if you don't want to do bars and clubs and you never want to do them, then that's your prerogative. You can go into private events. You won't really need to worry about timing as much, especially if you're doing like backyard parties and stuff like that, which is probably what you're going to start with as a new DJ, but it is something you have to think about. So, the second thing, it's easy, right? I've seen a lot of things like this on social media and stuff like that, and if you want to DJ properly and you want to be a good DJ, you want to master your craft, no, it's not easy. Nothing you start brand new is ever easy. Even if you've already started DJing and you've been practicing for a couple weeks, a couple months, maybe even a year, it's not easy. There's always something new to learn. There's always some new trick. There's always something that you see on social media and you see it and you're like, how did he do that? I have no idea how he did that. Let me try to figure it out on my equipment. And you find out either you can't do it on your equipment, or it's harder on your equipment, or you could do it and it's not technically hard, but it's your first time trying it and you're struggling with it. So DJing is not easy, but this is one of the things in this list that I'm going to say should not be something that deters you, because you have to be willing to be bad at something to be good at something eventually. Third thing, money. Everybody's got to talk about money. DJing is definitely an industry and a hobby, so to speak, where you have to spend money to make money. And aside from making money, even if you just want to DJ for fun, for your friends, for your own parties, backyard parties, whatever it is, either way, you have to spend money. You don't have to break the bank, and I think a lot of new DJs struggle with this. They see the flashy new stuff on Pioneer's Instagram or on their favorite DJ's website or YouTube or anything like that, and they think that they need that in order to get started. You don't need the most expensive equipment to get started. Whether it's DJing, music production, doing a podcast, or trying YouTube out, for example. You don't need the most expensive equipment to get started, and a lot of people tend to think that you need the best equipment. That being said, you don't need the best equipment, but you're gonna need some sort of equipment. You're not gonna be able to start with nothing without spending any money. You're gonna need to spend money on certain things, and I have a video coming up after this one that is going to help you narrow those purchases down, because there's a lot of things you might think that you need that you really don't. Fourth thing, like I said earlier, saturation. DJing and music in general is a very saturated field, but so is social media. So is pretty much everything in the world right now. You've got over 1 billion people on the planet. Saturation is going to happen. There's a lot of YouTubers, there's a lot of DJs, there's a lot of music producers, there's a lot of rappers, there's a lot of singers, a lot of TikTokers, Instagrammers, vloggers, whatever. There's a lot of saturation in everything that you're going to look at. So yes, this is something that you need to think about, but Just like the second thing in this list, it's not really something that should deter you from wanting to start. The last thing, number 5. This is something a lot of older DJs are gonna struggle with that have been in the business for a long time. So if there's any older DJs watching this, sorry, not everybody is like this, but there are a lot of older DJs who struggle with this. Even newer DJs or DJs who are doing good, they have residencies. In order to DJ every weekend or every week or get a residency or book weddings if that's your goal, or book bars or clubs or anything like that, or even house parties or smaller parties or at smaller venues or anything like that, you have to have content. You have to become a content creator. A lot of people are used to scrolling on TikTok, looking at their friends' Facebook posts, or just posting a thing on Instagram, or looking through Instagram Reels. There's a big difference between being on social media platforms and posting on social media platforms. There's definitely a learning curve when it comes to content creation, but this is something that you are going to have to do as a DJ. But you also need to get good at marketing. They kind of, when it comes to DJing and music and stuff like that, and any other field, to be honest at this point, with technology, content creation and marketing kind of go hand in hand. You need to be able to talk about yourself on social media and post social media content if you want to go far in DJing. So if that's something you don't want to do, then that's something you're going to have to think about prior to getting into DJing. But with all of this being said, a bonus number 6, who cares? Don't care, don't worry, don't stress yourself out about all of the things that could go wrong when it comes to getting into DJing or getting into anything for that matter, getting into YouTube, getting into content creation, marketing, getting a new job, anything like that, anything in your lifetime, who cares? At the end of the day, you're always gonna have to try to start something new. You're going to be new at something. And like I said before, you have to be willing to be bad at it in the start to get good at it in the end. Nobody who ever started out knowing everything. You're gonna struggle and you're gonna have trials and tribulations to go through, but if it's something you're passionate about it, just go for it. So with all that being said, you still want to try to get into DJing, I'm going to make a part 2 to this video coming soon to let you know what you need to get started. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed this video, or if you're waiting for the second video to come out, drop a like, comment, subscribe. Peace.